The search for a new coach is finally over, and the Flames promote from within. Dylan and Chris from the Armchair GM Podcast, we're going to talk about it.
Well, it looks like we have a new Stanley Cup champion, so we got that to talk about. But let's start with a little bit about Ryan Huska, who was named the head coach of the Calgary Flames on Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Just quickly, I guess I can say I don't hate it. I'm not overjoyed. Not gonna give him a whole bunch of shit right away. You know what I mean? Give him a chance to get acclimated as a head coach and give him a chance to, get his systems in place. But if things aren't working in, 2-3 months or 2.5 months or something like that, I'll be pretty fucking choked. But yeah, I think he'll be fine for them, honestly.
I think he'll do a good job. I'm really interested to see who he selects as the assistant coaches and the rest of his staff there.
I think it's a lot of his success is going to be based off of that, because I think rookie head coaches generally need a pretty good support staff around them. I don't think it needs to be anybody super experienced, but I think it needs to be somebody who can kind of help him through the NHL a little bit, but also who can work the offense a little bit, because like he was fine with the offense in Stockton when he was the head coach there, but he hasn't worked with the offense pretty much at all at the NHL level. So it'd be nice to have somebody to help with that.
Yeah, which is weird because he was a forward.
I know
when he played. And as he said, he wasn't good enough to make it really at the elite level.
He's humble, eh?
He is humble. You have to give him props for what he was doing with the power, the penalty kill last year. I mean, it was great, right?
I mean, ever since he's been up in the NHL, ever since he's been in an assistant coach or an alternate coach or whatever the fuck you want to call it, associate, he's been running, a top third, top quarter of the league PK. So I can't hate that at all.
Obviously, it helps when you have a couple of really good 200-foot players in Backlund and Lindholm,
and Tanev, and honestly Sutter, to be honest.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of reasons that there was success there for the PK, but at the end of the day, you still need that system, right? I mean, he brought and developed Dubé and Mangiapane. Actually didn't do bad on the PK. I'll give him credit for
honestly,
that.
Dubé and Mangiapane, like, I'm as well as anyone, like, my shitting on Mangiapane never ends, but I'll give him props where props are due, and him and Dubé on the PK are probably one of the best like offensive PK guys in the league, just because of their transition, and they seem to get chances almost every time they're on the PK. And not that that's what you need on the PK, but it's better to be in the offensive end if you can be.
Yeah, if the puck is in their end, that means it's not much of a power play. So
exactly. What did you think about what Huska said, or Conroy even in the press conference? Is there anything that caught your mind or caught your eye or your ear?
Not a lot. I mean, there was a lot of the standard, the go-tos. I interviewed 1,000 people, and it just, in the back of my mind, it just had to be Ryan. No, it was all pretty stock answers. Huska did. He seemed really, really excited for the opportunity, which I'm happy about. And I would imagine the media is a little more excited to be doing Flames interviews after games and and in the locker room, things like that, because
I mean,
obviously
maybe.
he's more approachable.
Oh, he's definitely more approachable, but you get more clicks and more reads on
Good
your
point.
articles from Sutter, right? More,
Yeah, good point.
yeah,
Yeah, that's you do get more of that.
yeah, which is all they care about. So
That's fair.
yeah.
We'll see how his relationship is with Eric Francis, right? Be able to tell
So
right away.
I've been paying a lot of attention. Well, not a lot, but Huska has been doing interviews on 960 for like a few years because he was doing the one weekly Stockton one a couple years ago, and
Yep.
he's been doing the coaches show every once in a while in the pregame and stuff like that.
Yep.
And honestly, the one thing I've really noticed with him, and it was kind of reiterated in his press conference and in his interviews with all of the different radio shows and stuff that he did.
Mm-hmm.
But I found, and I've always found, that he's a very good communicator. I don't know if that relates to the players, but I find with the media and with towards fans anyways, I've noticed he explains himself very well, and he has a good mind for the game. He explains the game very well, and
Yep.
he kind of gets down to business when it comes to that, and I really like that. I think it's going to be refreshing for a fan base who has had to like ask each other what the fuck the coach is trying to get at for for the last several or couple years, right?
Yeah, having the ability to communicate with your players is, I mean, it's pretty key, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to just cut through all the bullshit and just tell it, right? That's
I agree.
As far as I'm concerned, that's needed. I know
Couldn't agree more.
coaching styles have changed, obviously, so you're not as abrupt with the players, but there's no reason why you can't be direct and communicate your ideas and your thoughts, quickly and to the point, and without questions.
Yeah.
Right. If you can eliminate questions, I think you eliminate bad feelings.
Yeah, like I found in his press conferences and stuff, there's been very few follow-up questions because he just explains himself so well in the first place that they just like go to the next question, right?
Yeah,
they don't
next subject
the next subject or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Did you listen to the Rasmus Anderson interview today?
No, I didn't. I did pick up on a couple of posts on Twitter and whatnot, but I didn't actually listen to the interview itself.
I did. So one thing a lot of people I hear and read about, a lot of them are saying basically that Huska is a hire to make the players happy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it that way, or that he's a nice guy or whatever. But when you look at it, like even what Anderson said, like Anderson is happy that Huska is the coach, but so Anderson played for Huska in Kelowna for the Kelowna Rockets.
Yeah.
And then played for him for the Stockton Heat.
Yeah.
And now he's had Huska as an assistant coach for the last couple of years. So he in the NHL. So he's known Huska for a long time. And he said he didn't like Huska to start. He didn't like how hard he pushed him. And that's kind of what makes me think maybe, Huska's not just the nice guy, but he's going to push.
Which you can push players
and be nice
and be reasonable about it, where the players aren't going to be super upset about it, right? If you can push for them and achieve results, then the players will get on board with it.
Yeah. And it's also knowing when to push and when not to push, right? Like, you look at some of the other coaches who have been promoted within that have done really well in the last few years, like Jared Bednar and fucking John Cooper, they're not just players coaches. They know when to push, but they know when to back off.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, another thing that I heard, or at least a snippet that I saw about the Anderson interview is that
Mhm.
that he did have appreciation for Huska, but he didn't so much realize it until the last couple of years. He said, looking back at it,
Mhm.
that he helped him develop into the player that he is, but didn't really realize it.
Yeah. I found it
So
funny because he even said, like, you know, Huska really pushed me to become an NHL player. I probably wouldn't have been an NHL player if it wasn't for him. And then
yeah,
he ended off like answering that question with, "Yeah, I was a little fat."
right, yeah,
Yeah, which is kind of funny, but you know,
yeah.
I
And I
think
mean, you can always see that in his face, right? That he can easily put on weight.
you think so. I
Yeah,
never noticed that, but I don't really look at that stuff. I also
I
don't
mean,
really care. Like Phil Kessel just won his third Stanley Cup, so fuck it.
I guess there is a time and a place for it.
Yeah. I don't know. All in all, I'm willing to see what happens. I'm not going to shit all over the decision. I do think it's probably a partially a money based decision as far as still having to pay Sutter.
Yeah,
And he was a cheap, um, a
alternative.
cheap option.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when you said that you weren't sure if he was brought in as to make the players happy as much as he was brought in to make the owners happy, right?
Partially, I think it does make the players happy as well because I don't think that many of them dislike him or
Right.
anything like that. Um, I do think that most players just like to be communicated with and communicated with properly. You
Mhm.
know, just black and white, say it. Don't fucking beat around the bush or try and fuck with the media and stuff like that. But just say what you mean and tell it to the guy's face. Move on with your day. I kind of feel like
Yeah.
that's what a lot of those guys are looking for because they haven't had it since fuck, they probably didn't have it with Ward either because Ward just probably was like, "Oh yeah, no, you're doing really good. Just keep
Yeah,
having
Ward.
your headphones in at practice or what the fuck ever." Like,
Yeah. Yeah, transitioning from Bill Peters to Jeff Ward might have
yeah,
been
Bill Peters probably was a pretty good communicator, but maybe too much with the punching and the kicking and the whatnot.
I don't know. I think
Probably
we
not
need
with
to
Calgary, but that
we
that that
need
was in Carolina.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean it should have been in Calgary too, let's be honest.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
what we need to bring that back a little more punching and kicking in the locker room from the coach. Start getting results.
Hey, clip that. um,
Right.
yeah. Oh, so some things that really stuck out, and a lot of it is just super simple shit. Um, he said, he wants to eliminate some of the higher danger chances against, which is, honestly, 2 years ago we didn't really have any. And then last year we had a ton because the defense was running around like headless chickens.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think that's
And
important.
what wasn't that his department?
It was, but I feel like there was, well, actually I think a lot of it was the defensive forwards that weren't doing very well last year. Well, not the defensive forwards, but the forwards defensively. Like Backlund was doing fine as a defensive forward. Lindholm was doing fine as a defensive forward, but I think the forward group altogether kind of wasn't backing up the defense like they should have been. And I think it took Uyghur too long. Don't get me wrong, he did really well to end the season,
Mhm.
but it took him too long to not have those bad turnovers.
Yeah, it took him a long time to look like he was feeling comfortable for sure.
Exactly.
Um,
Um,
and I was pleasantly surprised with Huberdeau in the last month, maybe 5 weeks on his defensive game.
yeah.
he really stepped it up, and I did appreciate that, because you could tell it was awkward for him. That's not something he's ever had to do before.
I don't think that I thought his defensive game slowly progressed throughout the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it was noticeable though in the last month for sure.
Yeah. He did a lot of fishing in the corners for pucks and stuff like that in the last, I want to say 2.5 months of the season. And he started getting pretty good at it in the last month. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. And you know what? Just having habits like that are going to help
100%
when they start having a more offensive system, if that is really what's going to happen. And I think that's going to help a lot, just having, because he's a bigger body than most of our other forwards, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Not that he's the biggest body, but having somebody that fishing for pucks.
But he doesn't get pushed around, which is good, right? And he's good on his feet. He's good in his scrum. He doesn't back down from anybody.
Oh, I totally agree. He doesn't. Yeah, exactly. He's not afraid.
Yeah.
He just needed to work on doing it.
Well, that's right. And having a better offensive system will be great, as long as the players understand the fact that you can't
sacrifice too much on the defense.
Well, yeah, you can't be playing offense unless you've got the puck, and you're not going to have the puck if you're not playing some defense.
So did you hear him say that? He said he stressed a lot understanding the value of the puck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which seems like it's such a fucking simple concept.
A no-brainer.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
but I mean, that's what coaches do, right? They even when you get to that level, you still need somebody to go, hey, remember when you're down here and this is what you were taught? Get back to that.
Yeah, exactly. Like we have
rid
players
of old habits, right?
Spent all year or the last 10 years of their career just skating directly into defensemen and with the puck and not trying to pass it first. So
yeah. And then of course half a season of just sulking.
Yes. So hopefully that ends. Another couple things Huska said that really impressed. Well, it's nothing he said was like groundbreaking or impressive.
No, that's kind of what I was thinking, right? Just, like it was, just basic answers, right?
But happy that he said it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, he said, a little bit more freewheeling in the offensive zone without sacrificing too much defense, but. And this is the one that's like sticks and stones hockey that is like I could not grasp, and I think you and I spent like at least 15 episodes last year just screaming about it. Getting to the front of the net, just getting inside, trying to get high danger opportunities instead of blasting away from the point, blasting away from the half boards, and assuming that there's somebody there to get the puck when nobody's there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So,
and that was that's the one thing Kadri is actually good at.
Right.
Put him there.
And that's
make him go there.
He absolutely did not do at all.
Mangiapane's good at that too. Get him in there.
Yeah, I mean he takes a cross check in the head like
nobody's
no other
business.
Yeah,
but he scores
great
while
at
he's
receiving
doing it.
Yeah.
He wasn't in that position at all last year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was the weirdest power play, especially having guys like Kadri at the hash marks trying to set up plays instead of being the guy in the front of the net. And I know we've talked about it many times. It just blows me away that the coaching staff would not make an adjustment on that. It blew me away.
Having fucking Mangiapane pretending like he's Johnny Gaudreau doing button hooks on the half boards and then going backwards and getting knocked over or falling. Like, what are you actually doing?
Yeah.
Like the reason Gaudreau could do that is because they had to respect the shot. They don't have to respect their shot, your shot. So they're going to close in on you and smash you. And they did.
Well, and let's be honest, Johnny is a hell of a lot more elusive than Mangiapane is.
Well, Mangiapane, Mangiapane
he doesn't have that finesse. Like he's more like a bull in a china shop.
He is. Well, he's like a fucking calf in a china shop.
True. Yeah, Bambi on ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. I don't want an entirely new, fresh, um, NHL rookie fucking coaching staff, and I don't think they can steal Tanguay away from Detroit, because it wouldn't be
Yeah,
a
it's not an
promotion.
upgrade.
It's
Yeah.
not a promotion. But
You
if
you
they
keep
could,
bringing him up, but you're really big on bringing
I
him
never
in.
wanted him as the head coach. I want him as a replace for Muller. I
I
want.
mean, I mean,
I
we
think
like
he.
we
What?
could bring a fucking pylon in and be a good replacement for Mueller.
I know, but I do think that he is a really smart offensive guy, and not just because he played that way, but I've heard him on panels when he was Florida's play by play, or not play by play. He was Florida's uh one of the panel guys a couple years back, and I remember hearing him and being really impressed with that. Um,
Yeah,
and
I don't
and I
know that
think
he
he
would come to a
knows how to
Canadian
draw up
team though.
plays, right? What's that?
I don't know that he would come to a Canadian team though for that. It's hard to say though.
You don't think so?
No,
He's a Canadian dude,
I know.
and he
I
played
know.
in, like, I don't know.
He did play in Canada in a couple of good markets, but I mean he would do well with guys like Pelche and Huberdeau. Obviously speaking
The French
French and
connection.
can communicate with them and things
I
like
don't
that.
think Huberdeau has a problem with that. Peltier a
No,
little bit, but
I don't think he has a problem with it at all.
yeah,
But let's be honest, people that speak the same language just they gel quicker.
yeah, it's no different. Yeah, like what you're saying is no different than all the Swedes that speak perfectly good English.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
talking to each other all the time, right? Like
Yeah, I'm
being
not
better
saying
friends.
they're losing anything in translation or anything like that. It's
No.
just if you can have somebody that can actually speak, your
Mm-hmm.
your native tongue to you, and I mean, obviously, it's going to translate better. You would
Yeah.
think would get better results out of it, but you never know. I, I
And
I'm not super sold on the Tanguay thing, to be honest.
fair enough. I don't
I
think he's even
I
an
don't think he's on
option
the
anymore.
radar.
So
Yeah, I don't think so either.
yeah.
I really hope that we still find a way to keep
Mitch
Mitch
Love.
Love within the organization.
I'd
Bring
like that
him
too.
into an assistant coach role.
I like
Because
that.
give both Huska and Love that promotion within the organization. I think would show um a good camaraderie within Craig's new system, if you will, or his new role. And I think it would go well with players and other staff.
Yeah, and one thing I think is kind of lost in all of it, and I've heard a lot of people kind of shit on, the idea of Mitch Love being head coach, and the idea of Huska being head coach, and now that Huska is head coach, a lot of people have been shitting on it because, you're just bringing up some guy, but like these are the same people who are like, oh, we got to make room for the kids, and we got to play these kids from the minors. It's like, well, we've also been grooming like two of the best, like, up and coming coaches in the league, or in
Well, yeah.
in any system, in any team system. We've been grooming them in the minors, and they've been moving up too. So we got to move these guys up and give them a chance, I think.
Well, 100%. Every single Hall of Fame coach that's ever made it
Was a rookie.
was a rookie.
And again,
Not saying they're going to be Hall of Fame coaches. I'm just like, you have to give them the opportunity.
and I'm not saying that Huska or Love are going to become Jared Bednar, or are going to become John Cooper, but both of those guys were coaches in their minor systems.
Right.
Right. So, and those are the last, I mean, two of the last three cup winners, now that Vegas has won the cup.
Well, that's right. And if you want to talk about bringing the kids up and giving them an opportunity, I mean, what better coach to have in that system is the ones that have been coaching them at that lower level, getting them to that mark, right?
Exactly. And you have, now that you have Huska as a guy who's, coached literally everybody on the team as an assistant coach, but also had a few of them in the minors. And then if you bring Love up, then you have just somebody who the kids are used to, somebody who, they know how to communicate with Mitch Love. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as far as that goes, I'm not, I would never harp on saying that bringing Huska in as the coach is a bad thing. I mean, I think we need to promote within, and like I said, I've made it very clear I don't want to lose Mitch Love. I do personally think he's a better coach than Huska.
I do too.
But I mean, it just to me, I think it's a natural progression, right? You go.
Those are the exact words I was going to use. Natural progression. Final thought on it. I think of the guys who were in the final, five of the coaching picture anyways, I think Huska and / Love were the best two anyways.
I do too.
I think there was a lot of, Kirk Muller, who's fucking garbage.
I didn't want that at all.
I know that they said that Gerard Gallant was asking for too much, but he was being seriously considered, and like, no thanks.
Yeah,
there was a lot of like the retread coaches that they came up with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
yeah, the Gallant thing was not appealing to me in any way. Like,
what's that?
The Gallant thing was not appealing to me at all.
No,
like there's a reason why he was looking for work there. Like, I that was not even I didn't give that a second of thought, other than flat out no.
Yeah.
Muller,
I wouldn't have even given them a fucking interview.
No, 100%. The Muller thing, I'm very surprised about, to be honest with you. I mean, I was excited when we brought him in. I really thought that he would be somebody that would be good at teaching certain players to be a little more hard-nosed and really get a
just
good
because of who he was as a player.
As who he was as a player and just how he carries himself even off the ice. Like, he's just he just seems like that kind of guy to me.
Fair enough.
I was surprised with how bad I saw his coaching abilities. I didn't see that at all. When we first hired him, I was excited, but that started, steadily dropping off.
Do you think that the whole Muller thing, like the problem with the Muller thing, could have been maybe Huska was a better defensive coach or coach for the defense, and maybe Muller should have been, or maybe Muller maybe he was miscast as a power play coach because he was fucking terrible at that.
Yeah.
But do you think maybe he would have just been better at something else?
It's possible. It's possible. I'm when it comes to, if you're the head coach and obviously you assign roles to your assistants, you do power play, you do penalty kill, you focus on offense, you do goaltending, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But you still have to be the coach at the end of the day. And so if Sutter actually thought that our power play was working, then he's worse than I thought. Like, then he's completely lost his ability to coach.
Yeah.
Like, well, as the coach, he should have been, okay, we're making a change here.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the Stanley Cup.
Let's do it. Lord Stanley has been won.
It has.
By none other than the James Neal-less Golden Knights.
James Neal? No, I'm not really a James Neal fan, but anyways.
Wow. That jersey is a big deal, bud.
It's kind of a big deal.
And it's fucking ugly.
It is. I won it in a raffle years ago. I figured I'd wear it just to piss people off because Flames fans don't really like the Golden Knights or James Neal. And I'm a troll, so take that. But I'm happy they won because I'm not ready for Kachuk to win a cup. I'm not ready for, Bennett can go fuck himself. But I'm not ready for Oilers fans. I'm not ready for.
Ease up on the Bennett fucking hate. Jesus.
He's still horrible.
I don't know.
I don't know. He's had two seasons with a 100+ point winger, and he's never hit 50 himself. So he has more penalty minutes than games played every year. He's not a good player. But I mostly just wasn't ready for the Oilers fans and Canucks fans to be harping on us for the foreseeable future about, our former players, winning a cup, the year after we traded one of them. I wasn't ready for that.
See, you're saying it a lot nicer than I'm thinking it, right? I just flat out did not want Kachuk to win a cup after he fucked us over.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, that too.
I don't give a shit about Oiler fans or Vancouver. Are Vancouver fans even relevant at all anymore?
No, but I do have.
I don't care what they think.
Fans of those teams.
You do live in BC, so that makes more sense.
Well, yeah,
I don't even see Vancouver fans anymore. I haven't seen one in like a year and a half. They only come around when their team's doing well.
That's fair.
I wanted Lomberg to win a cup. I'm gonna lie.
I do like Lomberg as a player, and it's not like he asked to be traded or fucked us over. And like he's just,
no. I've got no ill will towards him.
He's a perfectly fine fourth line player, and I'd have him on my team any day.
Yeah, 100%. But when it comes right down to it,
without him too.
I'm not trading for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Kachuk fucked us over. Bennett wanted to get out of Calgary. He asked for a trade,
which was fair enough, I think.
Sure, I think so too. I mean, he was not given the right opportunity. He was given opportunities, but he wasn't given the right one.
Maybe he was expected to fill a role that he wasn't fit for, but I do think he was given the minutes here and there, and he just never took off with it like some other guys have, like even Dubé has, did last year for a little bit. But
yeah, but that's I mean really when you come down to it, we talked at the beginning of the season of how it would take Huberdeau and Uyghur time to get used to their players, their line mates. Nobody gels right away, and blah blah blah.
It took way longer than anyone expected.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of the same situation with Bennett.
Yeah, except 1 year and like 6 years are much different time frames.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, most of the middle six was like a revolving door, right?
I suppose so. And like
I don't think he should have been on the top line, but
no. And he was given the odd rep on the top line.
Yeah.
And never enough. Like a game. I'll give it never enough to actually truly get used to it.
Yeah. Not everybody can be Lucic and get on the second line and gel immediately, right? And score.
Yeah.
Be a machine. No, not everybody's that good.
Yeah.
So,
but at the same time, like I still think that Bennett kind of never took off and then pouted when he got moved back down, even though he wasn't producing up there like he should have, and then never really did, and then just kept pouting.
Yeah, that is definitely one of his weaknesses, we'll say. He is very emotional and pouty for sure.
And I think Flames fans saw how he did in 2 different playoff runs, which amassed like fucking a grand total of like 10 or 12 games in 6 years, and that he played pretty okay in those. Wasn't even that good. He was just better than all of the other Flames who were terrible.
Well, and playing
was,
on the fourth line, so you have to give him his credit.
well, he was playing on the third line there with
Third,
Lucic
yeah,
and Dubé.
that's
Yeah,
right.
and that was actually a good line for the fucking 6 games
Well,
they were
they're,
together.
I mean, between Luch and Bennett, like their style and their physical abilities are made for playoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's like, I mean, Sam hits like a fucking truck.
Oh, absolutely, he
You
does.
know, I love watching him hit, and I love watching him fight guys too because he's really good at it. You know,
Yeah, no,
he's
he's
really unassuming. You look at him, you don't think he's going to be much, but ask Darnell Nurse what he thinks about fighting Sam Bennett because he's lost to him every fucking time.
well, he's
And,
also a
and
fucking
Nurse
giant
thinks he's a
pylon.
fighter.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So as far as the Golden Knights are concerned, like pretty impressive run, honestly. Taking out the Oilers for us, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Taking out the Panthers for us was nice. Taking out the Stars for us, which was nice. Who'd they play in the first round?
Winnipeg?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean they just rolled through the playoffs doing Flames favor left, right, and center.
They really did. I was really impressed with how their system throughout the playoffs protected their goaltenders. Because let's be honest, Brissois was fine until he got hurt. And I actually think Hill was very good in some games, but most games he didn't have to be because their structure is so good.
Their structure has always been really good. But that being said, though, Hill had to make 1 or 2 10-bell saves per game for sure.
Oh, for sure.
And he was up to the task.
100%. I'm not trying to take anything away from Hill because I thought he should have won the Conn Smythe. I know Marchessault won it, but I thought Hill should have won it, even though he didn't play the first round and a half because he came in and was fairly lights out for. I think he only had one actually bad game out of 16.
Yeah, so agreed. I mean, they scored a couple of quick ones on him tonight in the third, but I think he was already starting to get emotional for that win, right?
They were I think the whole team was.
Yeah, they were up
see
a lot.
Because they scored 9, right? I think after their like 5th or 6th one, they all started celebrating like it was already over because it was.
It was, but
yeah,
man. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, fuck, you imagine these cocksuckers lose it?
Yeah. Oh, I'm a big Jack Eichel fan because of how he's been treated by fans and by the Sabres over the years. But I think
the Sabres didn't treat him great as far as the surgery went, but other than that, I don't see how they treated him poorly.
They treated him poorly, and I mean, I can see this from both sides, but they treated them poorly because from the very first time, like even up at the podium when they were drafting him, because they lost the McDavid sweepstakes, they were visibly pissed off and they didn't want him. They were just like, which is fair because they missed out on McDavid, but they kind of treated him like shit by being pissed off that they were even getting him. You know what I mean? Without even know that, like, he is an elite talent. You can't be pissed off that you're getting that. You can be pissed, you can be like, oh man, it sucks we lost the lottery, but at least we got this guy, but they kind of weren't for a little. And then the other way they didn't really treat him very well is by never bringing anybody in to play with him. Like he played with Jeff Skinner and Kyle Okposo for years, and they wouldn't give him anyone else to play with for years. And like they were terrible players for years. No, I mean, they didn't really give him anyone any skill to play with. They were trying to give him Darlene when Darlene wasn't very good. They were trying to give him Ristolainen, and he's always been horrible. You know what I mean? Like they never really gave him a decent, like I think they gave him Matt Molson for a couple of years. Like And I
Yeah, I
get they were
guess.
trying to tank, but like you don't tank for 8 years like that. You start getting talent eventually, you know.
Well, I mean, they're they're a lot better team now than they have been in
Because
at
they
least 10 years, right?
I think it's a lot of it is because the guys that they traded for Eichel,
Yeah.
plus the emergence of Cousins now that Eichel um has opened more, ice time for him with not being there.
Yeah, that's true.
And Darlene is a stud, and Ukko-Pekka Likkinen, I can't even say his name properly, is going to be a
And
stud too.
I mean, Tage Thompson's okay too.
Thompson is really good. And that's another guy. They didn't give Tage Thompson much of a chance because Eichel has always been, that guy, which is
Yeah.
fair enough. Like to me, he's a first line elite center. He might not be that great on the draws, but everything else he's pretty damn good at. So it kind of makes sense that they didn't give Thompson all of that.
Right.
Anyways, I'm happy that Eichel got a cup. I there's a lot of Golden Knights I like. Like I like the Carlson, Marchessault, Smith, Nick Waugh, a big, huge, fun guy to watch. Chandler Stevenson has come out from nowhere and won 2 Stanley Cups now. Mark
Yeah.
Stone, hot take, he's retiring. That was his last game, I think.
So,
Holy shit, he was born in 1992. I feel old.
who was
Mark Stone.
Stone? Yeah.
Um,
He turns 31 in a couple of months, doesn't he?
31 or 32, yeah. He's so for those who don't know, he's got a degenerative, I can't even say the word properly, degenerative back disease. He shouldn't be playing. He's had a couple surgeries for it. He's probably going to have to get more. That's kind of why I think he's done, because I don't think it's something. I think it's something that he's going to have to keep getting surgeries for the longer he plays. And he just scored. Did he score 4 goals?
Was it fourth? I know he
I
got the
think
hat
so.
trick for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like, winning the cup and going on to LTIR, making $9.5 million a year for the next 3 years, I think is probably going to suit him pretty good as a guy who probably doesn't want to get that many more surgeries in his future.
I don't see why.
So that's my hot take, and Mark Stone going to LTIR.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, by
he's a
all
little young
accounts,
to retire, but
sure, but yeah, he shouldn't have been playing.
no. And he played well. Honestly, I think you might have to remind me about this, but I think I predicted him getting injured and being out after the first round or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was halfway through the first round or the beginning of the second round or something like that. He was going to be out and couldn't return, was my thought, because he shouldn't have been playing, man.
Yeah.
So big props to him. Alec Martinez has scored 3 goals, I think, in as a defenseman in Stanley Cup final clinching games in his life, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've always liked Martinez, actually.
Me too.
I do
like
him.
their fucking defense is stacked and big and mobile.
That's the big thing, right? They're big, they're punishing, and their system. I actually found their system in the first couple of years to be better than it is now, but it's still really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stone did get the hat trick.
He got 3, not 4?
No.
Okay. Still, like, I think, again, as a guy who shouldn't have been playing in the first place, going out on top. Oh, he didn't win the Conn Smythe, but he got 3 goals in the Stanley Cup clinching game. captain of a Stanley Cup winning team,
Yep.
making $9.5 million. Like he shouldn't be playing. Anyways, I've said that like 8 times now. So
Yeah.
I really like his game too. He reminds me of kind of like what I thought Backlund would be, except a winger.
Mark Stone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because he is Backlund, except he scores more. He's tough to play against. He's a really good two-way player. He's really, really like elite defensively, but he's just got more offense and he's a winger.
Okay. I'll let you go with that.
But you can disagree with me. He's also fucking 3 years younger than Backlund, but
yeah. But he looks like he's 48.
He does. Must be all them surgeries.
Could be.
Petrangelo's always been one of my favorite players too. Outside of the Flames organization, I've always really appreciated his game.
Yeah, I mean they really do have a stacked roster, right? I mean, I've always been a fan of McNabb. I know he's not anything super elite, but I mean he's a strong player, right?
Not everybody needs to be super elite. Braden McNabb is a perfectly fine fucking middle pair punishing defenseman.
That's right. And I wish we had more of them on our team. I will go down on record saying that Robin Regeer is one of my favorite players of all time. Too.
Tunnel of Doom.
Oh yeah, Saskatchewan Steamroller. You don't want to be in the fucking tracks when that's coming at you.
You look at Vegas's defense. That is a tunnel of doom.
It truly is, right?
6'6", 6'3", 6'1", 6'4", 6'2", 6'3", 6'2", 6'2".
Yeah.
215, 215, 230, 210, 207. They're just big guys. And none of them are slow. McNabb might be. Hutton is, but
Yeah, they're not slow. They work well as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that really is kind of gross, to be honest.
And not that it matters that much, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 guys on the Vegas roster are from Canada. And they have 2 goalies from oh shit, I thought Aiden Hill was from Calgary. Oh no, he just played junior in Calgary. Yeah. And he grew up in Calgary, but he's from Comox, BC, and Logan Thompson is from Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody else from Calgary
in
here?
Yeah, being so like I really wanted us to acquire Aiden Hill at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
You had some insight to that, eh?
I mean, not necessarily, but he just with his ties to Calgary and whatnot, I was
just be nice to have the backup position sewn up for the foreseeable future type thing.
Well, I thought he would be better than he is, to be honest with you.
Even after this playoffs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he came in and did really goddamn good in the playoffs here, obviously.
Yeah.
He didn't exactly get a lot of what did he play? I guess he played 25 games or so.
Oh, in the regular season.
In the regular season.
I can look it up. Give me a sec.
Yeah, just pull it up here. 27 games.
I mean, he had 16 wins in 27 games. That ain't too bad.
Not bad. But yeah, I mean, 16 wins in the playoffs coming in as a backup when their guy goes down is, I mean, how do you, you can't hate on that.
Yeah. I
And and it's funny, like you don't even think about his time in Arizona at all.
no, no. I think I think he's good, but I think some team is going to overpay him this year because he's a UFA, I believe. So I think based on his finals and just playoff performance, I think some team is going to pay him like $2 million too much, and he's going to kind of come back down to, oh, he's going to be like Jordan Bennington type thing, just overpaid guy who won a cup once.
Right. Well, I mean, that's,
which is fucking great for him, right? But
I mean, look what they did for Murray after winning it a couple times, right?
He's just fucking horrible.
He's a terrible goaltender,
Yeah.
but he legit stole the job from Fleury. So I mean, we'll give him the credit he deserves. But what's his current contract is? Oh yeah, it's 2.175.
Yeah. Maybe just, do you have anything else to say, or can I throw out a closing statement here?
You go ahead with your closing statement.
I was watching the cup ceremony where they were passing the cup to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw Jonathan Quick get the cup before Adin Hill, and that pisses me the fuck off because that guy didn't even play a minute in the playoffs.
Correct.
Adin Hill stole the cup.
Yeah, and he's the reason why they're hoisting it.
He should have won the fucking Conn Smythe, in my opinion. And Jonathan Quick got the cup first, and that's fucking bullshit. Logan Thompson should have been on the ice without his pads, injured on fucking crutches, getting the cup before Quick. And I don't dislike Quick. It's just, it makes no sense how a guy who didn't play a minute got the cup before the fucking goalie who won the cup.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I mean, you can tell that there's. I wonder who gave it to him. Was it like Martinez, maybe?
I want to say McNabb, which would make sense because I think they played together, but I could be wrong on that. Because I think McNabb played with Martinez and Quick on those LA teams, but I could be wrong. And I could be wrong on who passed it to him. I was just like, I saw somebody with goalie pads taking the cup, and I was like, oh, sweet, they gave it to Hill pretty quick. And then I saw it was Quick, and I was like, fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah. McNabb played with LA from 2014 to 2017. He's the guy they selected, right?
Oh, oh yeah. That would make sense. So I guess he would have won the last cup with LA in 2014 then. With I think that was the one Martinez scored the overtime goal for the game 7. So that's interesting. Anyways, I think that's pretty much all we got for the day. Hey, or do you have anything?
I think that pretty much caps it off. Just wanted to have a quick chat about our new coach and getting the Stanley Cup playoffs are finally over. That's sad.
I'm you know what? I'm not super sad about it. I would have liked it to go a couple more games, but I'm also kind of ready. I feel like even though a couple of big trades have happened, Columbus has got some more defense, and LA's freed up some cap space and all that type of stuff. But I feel like there's 3 or 4 big trades ready to go in the next fucking 2 or 3 days. I feel like we're gonna get some trading action right quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. I mean, we're coming up on the draft, right? So,
What day is it? It's like the 20th or something?
um,
25th or something?
28th.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So, I mean, that's coming up quick, right? So, I'm interested to see what Craig's going to be able to pull off before that draft, because we all know that we have some players that are either going to need to be signed or traded.
And I
So,
don't think there's really a choice, honestly, for any of them. But I think specifically for Hannafin and Lindholm, you have to know by the draft and you have to do something about it by the draft.
mhm.
If either of them are not traded by the draft and not signed to an extension on July 1st, I'll be fucking pissed.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Yeah. If they haven't been traded and they haven't been signed, yeah, I agree to that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We don't need another Gaudreau situation.
So I don't think it'll be longer than another couple weeks before we have another podcast, because I think there's going to be a big trade, maybe
Mhm.
announcement of a signing on July 1st or whatever. But I think we're
Yep.
going to be in for another big off season, and I think we're probably going to catch up every couple weeks. Hey,
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you can also follow us on Facebook at Armchair GM Podcast. You know, join the chats there. Dylan keeps us pretty much up to date when he can with new things. So, you know, any sort of trade or signing, I suppose, but that won't be till after anyways. But once things get rolling, you know, we're looking into some excitement, I think, in the next couple of weeks. If you're a Flames fan or just a fan of the NHL at all.
you just started up a Twitter too, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll get going a little more active on that too, and start.
What's the handle again?
Was it Armchair GM Podcast 10 or Armchair GM 10? Sorry.
Armchair GM 10. Okay. So follow us on that. Follow us on Facebook. Um, follow us on YouTube. Let us know what you felt about the Golden Knights winning and Kachuk and Bennett and the rest of the Florida Panthers losing, even though Bobrovsky kind of almost pulled one out of his ass there up until the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And let
Yeah.
us know what you think is going to happen with the Flames in the upcoming couple weeks here in the comments down below.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And check out the Hockey Podcast Network, where we will be on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, and all that type of stuff.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Check us out everywhere. Give us a share and a like. Cheers. Go Flames.